Okay, so what we're gonna do here is I want to go over with you guys the changes that we just chucked into the future branch. And if you guys don't know what the future branch is, basically if you right click on Duskers under properties and then you go to betas and then there's a drop down and there should be a default. The default is what you're on, which would be probably called none, and then there's future and past. And so I just dropped version 0.26 in the future branch. So you can go check it out right now. And what does that let you do? Well, let's kind of explore some of these new things. So there were a ton of bug fixes. If you look at the notes that we posted, probably like, you know, 3/4 of them are just weird things that were happening to people, like when they docked their ship and then they tried to redock immediately. Sometimes the ship would disappear a little bit, stuff like that. So there was all that stuff. And then other things like certain people on keyboards, some, you know, non-WASD, WASD, you know, keyboards, you know, with semicolon remapping and a few things like that. But for the most part, you know, we were taking care of a lot of that. So if you had a post on the forum, we might have addressed it. But let's see the fun things, right? So one thing that we've done is we allow you now to rename your drone. So simply by selecting a drone and hitting Control R, you can rename this. And we could stick with the names that I just picked. I did a really super funny post about Game of Drones, and I don't want to give away any spoilers, but people tend to die in Game of Thrones, in both the books and in the series. So I did a little funny Game of Drones here. But we could rename them if you guys really want to. But I think it might be kind of funny to pilot the Starks and the Lannisters around, and the Martells, and then a character that has no family identity other than the fact that he worked for one of them. Anyway, so there's that, which everybody was asking for, and was one of those things. What I'd like to do is, oh yeah, so we also did that. So stealth drones aren't attacked by turrets now. They were. We forgot, we kind of ignored that flag. We were just kind of excited to shoot you with your own ship defenses. Kill Eddard. He should be the first to die if you think about it. Let's see, we'll see how it goes. Yeah, so also if you stealth your probes, they won't get shot. But before, we weren't shooting probes. So we felt that they, usually the probes kind of go unnoticed by like certain things because they kind of hover, but I think the ship's defenses, if they're going to attack the swarms, they should be able to attack probes. So now when you send a probe into a room with a armed defense, that will die. And maybe for some new people, that will that'll let them know that they're going to die if they go into that room. Though that, I think, is crap. I hope I'm not spoiling anything for anybody. I'm assuming most of the people in here have played the game. But one of my favorite stories, it happened to me even after I designed the game, is when you definitely either suck your drones out into space or you get them nailed by a defense turret. I remember the first time I watched someone do that, and they turned to me and they were like, why did I get shot by the defense turret? And they were like, oh wait, I guess this isn't even my ship, is it? It's like, why would I not have gotten shot? Anyway, it's fun having people die. Quick story, while I'm just yapping and making you guys listen to me. The other day, I got trolled by the game. I thought it was really funny. I forgot that we made it so that at trading posts, the quantities of things can be kind of random. And so I bought some sensors, and then I go into the ship, and I'm all, you know, set with my layout, and I go to drop a sensor, and I had 0 out of 50 sensors, and I just felt like that moment where like I went to this auto trader and they sold me this thing and the batteries weren't included, and I like go down to the ship and I go to turn on like my flashlight or whatever, and it's just like, I want to go back there and yell at them, but obviously it's just a robot anyway. Oh, that's good. Someone, the ship defenses work. See, I watch Let's Plays, and sometimes people walk right into it, and sometimes people are like, I better turn that off. So it seems like it's like a 50-50 thing. But yeah. Let's see. Why some rooms can't be scanned with a motion sensor. Okay, so real quick, I'll just answer these questions before we go into some of the other stuff. The motion sensor was too powerful. It was overpowered. And I found, another thing that I found is it was a great introductory mechanic because it taught people very simply that they're supposed to deduce what's in these rooms before you go in there, which is a hard thing to teach, I think. And so the motion sensor does it in a nice, succinct way. So when you're going through what we call the nursery, which is the first 4 ships, generally they work on almost all the rooms, but then we slowly start to take that away. Because what would happen is that as soon as people started the game again, and they didn't have the motion sensor, they wouldn't know what to do, they would get super frustrated, and I felt like that was kind of my fault because I gave them this thing and then took it away. So what I tried to do is I nerfed the motion sensor so that eventually you're like, well, this is useful, but it's not the only way I can explore a ship, and then you have to start relying on other ways to explore the ship. But one of the things that I want to do is make it so that even when you're not scanning rooms, you're getting information from those rooms. And sometimes it's hard to tie all of these mechanics together, but one of my thoughts is that maybe, because radiation is a thing, maybe it could be that rooms that you can't scan are the ones that are heavily radiated. And so then you would at least get some knowledge out of the fact that, well, I don't know if there's a monster in there, but I do know that that has a high level of radiation, so radiation might leak or something like that. I don't know if that will work out perfectly, because the problem with that is that there aren't a lot of radiated rooms in early ships, and then again, it would which would be ideal, you know, but then it would cause you to rely too much on your motion sensor, but so that kind of stuff. And let me know if you guys, if I start blabbing on about design stuff, if it's boring as hell or something like that, because I don't really have a real game plan for this hour. Okay, so that being said, let's look at what else we've got. You may notice also, so we have modifications, and I'm sorry if the screen resolution isn't that great. I'm streaming from home, and my upload speeds aren't the greatest, so I'm down at 720p. But you'll notice now, this is really hard to read at this small. It'll be easier to read on some other things, but you see how the shield has a little asterisk X next to it. And so what we're going to do is we're going to make it so that now that we're going to be introducing more and more modifications to the upgrades, we're going to make it so that you can see that the thing is actually modified. So what I've actually done, this -X, which kind of doesn't make a whole lot of sense, is the radiation proof shield. So I've upgraded the shield so that it is now immune to radiation. So in theory, what this means is that if a room is radiated, it's no longer off limits to me. I can open up the door, drive the drone with the shield, the activated shield, because I've seen people not activate their shields. There aren't any real passive abilities in this game for the drones. So activate the shield, open the door, go in, close the door, and you can wander around a completely radiated room without worry. And I actually haven't checked, but I'm pretty sure that you can gather without it turning the shield off. I should have probably checked that before we push the build. So that's one thing. Another mod that we had, so radiation is kind of a thing, and we know that it can be a little bit aggravating at times. And so I've posted, I don't have the link on me, but if you go to the Steam forums, it's pinned at the top. We did ship upgrades, then we did the vents, and now we're doing radiation, and so we're reworking the way that's going to be. That stuff isn't in this build, but what is in this build is a few countermeasures. So if you guys have gotten ship upgrades and you've ever gotten the ship surveyor, there's now a new mod that detects rooms with weak hulls, which is basically, weak hulls is what leads, and I know it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but there's basically pipes running throughout these ships with radioactive material. And so the weaker the hull, eventually we're going to make it so that when asteroids hit, that creates a vacuum instead of radiation. I think that'll be more interesting. But for radiation, it's the weakness of the hull. And maybe we can just call it the stability of the room or something like that. So now with this mod on the ship surveyor, which if you've ever used it, when you dock, it shows you all the rooms, there'll be indicators, yellow and red, as to how likely or what the radiation levels are, and how, so if there's leaking radiation, that might, with the shifting of the ship, that might cause much more to leak out. And so at least that's like a countermeasure, if you will. But yeah. Why would you not activate a shield? So I see people do it all the time, and the problem is that when you have a shield equipped, we have a ghost outline of the shield, and then when you activate it, it turns like much brighter white. But I think what happens is people equip the shield and they think that because they see the shield there, the outline, that's the shield and it's activated. It's a passive ability. And so I've seen people get walloped and then not realize they have to turn on shield. And it's kind of a debatable thing, like whether or not you should have to activate it. I just made it that everything on the drones as an upgrade has to be activated, like the Gatling and everything like that. So the shield is the same way. But yeah. Okay, so on the radiation, that is the plan, to give you guys a warning. The idea is to give you guys a slight warning. Keep in mind that when radiation floods at first, it's not really damaging you that much, and I know it freaks you out, but it's only damaging you like 1 or 2 HP per second. So unless you're in there with like a 10 HP drone, you've got time to move out of there. But the only problem I'm realizing now is that the more warning I give you, the more I completely make these countermeasures useless. Because why do you care? Like, it is good to know which rooms might happen to, and you can kind of plan your strategy out that way. But if you're going to get warning anyway, like with the asteroid, then it kind of makes this surveyor more useless. In a way, it makes it so that you're kind of like, I'm paying to kind of know in advance what rooms might give me a warning that they might flood. So, I don't know, I'm kind of torn on it. Yeah, no, I always activate the shield. There's really not a good reason to activate it. The only reason why is if you bring it down on a mission and you're bringing it down as a just-in-case kind of thing. In which case, if you never activate it, then it won't take any wear and tear for the mission. So that's new to the game. You're not able to revisit ships yet. That's something that I want to do. There's 2 things holding us up on that. One is that we need to save out all the data so that we can then bring that and load that back in. And there is also a slight concern that if we do that and you're on this crazy long run and you try and revisit a ship from forever ago, at which point we could just deteriorate it and just say it's unstable. But there's the technical issue of we don't, like, things are based on a seed, but then you go in there and you mess around and we have to save, like, okay, there was a swarm in this room and an open door here and all that stuff, and then maybe simulate out a little bit of time. And then I also have to make sure that it doesn't create any exploits. Like, oh, I'm going to board the ship, I'm going to see a couple things, then I'm going to go out and, re-come back with new drones or something like that, because that's just annoying to have to do that. And I never want to make an optimal strategy that's annoying. So what I would have to do is I would have to make some kind of cost associated with that. Basically, as a fire truck goes by and blares its horn, there would have to be some kind of, even if you left and then went right back in, there would have to be some kind of instability that I would have to add to the ship, or maybe an additional enemy that came out or something like that, to make it so that that wasn't an exploit. Let me know if I'm dropping crazy frames or anything like that. I'm seeing my internet is kind of handling this right now, but it's okay. I think that there's probably a balance that we'll be able to strike with the radiation, hopefully, where we can basically have the radiation make it so that, and I do believe that there is a thing in this game where I'm not ever trying to make you lose the game based on dexterity. There are situations you can put yourself in where you do need to rely on some dexterity, but in general the game isn't requiring that. Like, if you had planned it out well, then you shouldn't ever be relying on that dexterity. And this is the case with doors being chewed on. This is the case with asteroids that are going to hit. And right now, I think radiation is the only kind of immediate, like, I didn't see that coming. It's exciting to me because a bell rings and then I've got to react, but I can see how it kind of breaks that mold a little bit. So adding in a warning does make sense. And of course, if we added in the warning, we would make it a little bit flaky. Like, I would make it that it's like, oh, R2 seems like it has high levels of radiation, and then nothing happens. And it's like, oh, okay, I just ran all my drones out of there for no good reason. And then every now and then it does happen, so it keeps you guessing. And that would also make it so that the map and the radiation shield would really start to become more important, I guess. But yeah. Revisiting derelicts would allow for stashing mods in destroyed. Yeah, you're right. That is a problem. Yeah, see, they kind of it is something that it's a classic thing where everyone's like, why can't you revisit ships? And at first we were going to do that, and then we just didn't have time with the with saving the game state and stuff like that. I was like, what are we going to do? Are we going to make it so that we have modifications, or that you can upgrade your upgrades with, or are we going to make it that you can revisit ships? And then there's always the bone files from roguelikes, where it's really fun to suddenly go aboard a ship and be like, oh my god, I've been here before. And in the previous iteration of the game, and again, I'm not going into a mission right now, so let me know if I'm yapping too much. But in a previous iteration of the game, it wasn't quite as roguelike-y. It was basically when you died, and by died I really mean you lost all your drones. When you restarted, we would restart you, but instead of being in a brand new universe, you would be in the old one, but you wouldn't know it. You'd just be in a different galaxy. So we would start you in some random place, and eventually you would stumble upon where you had already been, which was really, I thought, would be a really cool way of then making it so that your objective was to sort of connect these systems. Like, let's say we gave you 5 runs, like you would connect these systems on your first 3 runs, and then on your last 2 is when you'd really be trying to shoot for those objectives. Like, let's say you have to commandeer an really old derelict and bring it to an outpost. You might find the outpost on your first run, but then die, and then you find the derelict, like an old derelict, on your second run, but those 2 places aren't connected. And so then you're working to connect those by traveling through the stargates and kind of create this system. I have a whole video on YouTube about this, like when we were designing this, and I was really excited about it. But then as time wore on, like all of that created a more complicated system, and players weren't quite getting it. And that's when I said, like, hey, I don't know if this is all worth it. Maybe we just need to go to 1 run and you're done. And it just simplified tons of the design and made it so players understood the game a lot better. Maybe we could add a mode back in someday that was that original mode, and maybe it wouldn't be fun at all. I have no idea. Yeah. But so I'm sorry, I'm having trouble. My screen, this is really small, but like Nanach said, revisiting derelicts would allow for stashing mods and destroyed drones. Costs would be fuel to get there. But yeah, so... Oh, actually, I'm sorry. I was thinking that as a negative. I was thinking, like, you could... So, right now, we don't like the optimal strategy of, like, pack muling, of basically, needing to bring back all the things you found and put them in the docking bay and then go back out and scout. It just seems like it wastes a lot of time and makes the game unfun, which is why you can't tow destroyed drones right now, because you could like just use their husks as storage, and I feel like it creates like kind of a crappy strategy. And so what would happen if you could revisit ships is that you could just leave the drone there, go down, come back with a bunch of drones with nothing equipped, and then load them up again. And it would just create, again, an optimal strategy that would really not be fun to play that way. And when I play a game, I know that if there's an optimal strategy that I can do that's annoying, it frustrates me because I don't want to do it because it's annoying. But then I know that I would do better in the game if I did do it. So I'm always trying to avoid those things. However, what I think Narnach was saying is basically something interesting that happened in those previous versions of the game design, which I thought was cool, is that you could go to an outpost. You can still do this in the game right now, but it doesn't make as much sense. But in those previous versions of the game, you could go to an outpost and you could trade away your good stuff, knowing where that outpost was, and then on a future run, you would be able to find that again and then get all that stuff. And that was this whole, you had 5 runs or something. We had like a clock that was ticking. It was kind of like Majora's Mask or something like that, where you would be able to find that thing again, and you would basically be sort of using previous runs to set up your final run. if that makes any sense. But it runs into other problems, like making that run seem, like that's the only point of it, and then hitting reset when like you're not having a good first run because it affects your next 4 runs and all sorts of stuff like that. However, but being able to revisit a derelict does make it so that there are some really good things about it. One is that if you lost a drone that you loved, you could go back and have a fighting chance of getting him out. It would still be hard because the enemy would still be there, but it'd be really fun to send your final drone in to get your first 4 out with like whatever upgrades that you have. And then the other one being that, yeah, you could, in theory, leave things and be like, you know what, I'm going to leave this here in case I need it when I double back. Because usually when you go through a system, you only have a couple... You can visit everything except for... or not visit everything. You can usually visit around half of them. So that makes it so that when you double back, you're not just burning fuel. You are actually able to pick up resources again. But usually you've picked up the resources that you really want on the way in, and usually the easier stuff maybe. I don't know. So, yeah. Yeah, I'm glad that some of you guys see the optimal strategy frustration. And I always try to avoid that in my games if I can. I try to make it so that there isn't an exploit that's annoying, because you just feel like if you just did it that way, you would have beat the run, or you would have done better, or whatever. Yeah, so some people are like completionists or a try-hard. I like that. And they just are compelled to do those optimal strategies, and they don't mind them as much. And I learned this from watching my brother. My brother is a super completionist, and I watch him play like Fallout, and it drives me crazy because he goes into like every storage locker and like grabs stuff and then pack mules it back to like wherever, and then he comes back and he goes through every storage locker, and I'm like, but like he enjoys that, but I don't, and I don't like the feeling that I should be doing that. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so now let's see some of these things in action, I guess. One other thing I want to show you guys real quick. Difficulty settings. I don't know if I can access this actually from here. Can I? I can. Okay, so really quickly, before we had made it so the radiation and vents, and I'm sorry if this is spoiling anything for anybody, so that you can turn those off. So like if they just drive you crazy and you want to take your time and the game is kicking your butt, like you can turn those things off. Drones in small rooms, I roll my eyes about this a little bit, but I acquiesced because it's just like some people get annoyed when there's a drone that's blocking their way. I get it. You want to be able to tow it back, but like it's an obstruction, and that kind of creates interesting problems. But there you go, disable. Easy starting galaxy is one that... So this comes down to Tim being a sadist, I guess. Basically, when I made the game, I didn't want it to be that you just like everything ramped slowly up in difficulty, because again, like for whatever reason, one of the stakes in the ground, one of the main courses of this game was to create this sense of realism, and I felt that felt, I mean, it felt like what it felt like. It felt like it was contrived, or not contrived. I'm not gonna say that because there are a lot of games that do this and do this well, but it felt, and I might still do it, but it just felt, it felt curated, and I didn't want that. So what we tried to do is make it so that when you started the game, we would give you, of the random galaxies that we picked, we'd start you in one of the easier ones, as long as we could place things correctly. And sometimes that doesn't work out. Our algorithm apparently is not the greatest. So some poor people, the nursery, the first time you played would be in a galaxy, and that system would be super easy, and all the systems around would be hard. Or, even better, there would be different systems that were different levels of difficulty, but people didn't yet understand the age thing, and that they can view into the systems and kind of pick their path, because they're new players, so they would just go in and, get creamed. And some people loved that, and that's what they loved about the game, and other people did not. So that's why this is now a setting. So the first time you play, I custom created some real softball galaxies. And so the first time you play, we automatically give you one of these. But then on successive plays, we still try to start you in something somewhat benign, but this will make it so that definitely happens. And I like this disabled. So I turn this off by default because it's my game and I'm a brat. However, I could see pressure eventually to turn that to default enabled. The reason I like this disabled is because I like sometimes starting, and rarely, you never start in a very difficult galaxy, but sometimes I like starting in galaxies that aren't just softballs, like, because it forces me, and it happens rarely, like usually you start in an easy galaxy and I can kind of get my momentum up, but every now and then I start with one that's slightly harder, or that has some outposts, and I have to, waste a little bit of fuel because I can't make an optimal run. And usually in this game, I find that when I have a non-optimal run is when it's the most fun. When I'm sitting there and I'm like, how the hell am I going to use a shield and a stun and, pry? Like, how am I going to use those three things to get through these ships and hope that I can get some stuff back? And when I do, then it's amazing. So I'm trying to recreate that feeling for people, and I want that to be the default. However, I totally understand that the game is tough, and for some people, they want to get off to that nice start. They want to have that, FTL beginning where there's just going to be like some easier ships, and then you get to ramp up your progress. And so all you got to do is flip that to enabled, and every time you start, the first galaxy will be easy. The galaxies surrounding that, like on your first jump, are not guaranteed at all, but we also mix in, I think we mix in 3 really easy galaxies, and so hopefully they'll be dispersed nicely. But yeah, so I'm actually curious as to what people think about that. So I'm gonna read some of these comments. Sorry if I'm if I'm being a little slow here. Did I make the slime have frowny faces? I don't know. It was a real quick temp art that I think that Rick, actually, one of the programmers, threw in. So we've got to make it so that it used to recede. Like right now, if you, and again, I don't want to give anything away, but if you were able to make this slime recede, it would shrink down. But we would leave scar marks so that you knew that it had been there. And now it doesn't recede at all. It just stays, and the reticles go away, which is really weird and concerning. So we've got to fix that. Actually, let me add that to our list of things to do if I forget about that right now. Slime. I'm pretty sure we've already added this, but okay. All right. Yeah, no, being a completionist is kind of fun, and especially, yeah, when it matters in the game. And this is a game about scavenging, so I don't blame people. Actually, the most fun about this game is that every time, not every time, but I feel like most of the times when I die, it's because I'm pushing my luck to get, like, into the 15th room of the damn derelict that I'm pretty sure doesn't have a thing in it, but just in case it's got that drone in it, I want to, like, explore the whole thing, and that's when everything goes to hell, because I'm just, like, pushing too hard. Right. Yeah, see, system agent difficulty. We added in parentheses like a little descriptor, like volatile and stuff like that, just so that people would kind of associate better the age and the difficulty. But yeah. Okay, if you go to a ship and you don't have all your drones, that was a bug. Try the new update. Try version 0.26. I think we might have fixed that. Where you tow a drone and then you immediately bring it on the next thing, on the next mission, and it wouldn't be there. I think that's fixed. Less drones on your mission than you should have? Having less drones than it should have. So every ship does not have a set amount of drones. I guess I'm a little confused by the question. Can you elaborate on getting less drones on your missions than you should have? I don't know how many I don't know how many drones you think you're entitled to when you go on a mission, but the answer is 0. You got to pay attention also to the ship types. Some ships tend more toward drones. Some ships tend more toward ship upgrades. Some ships have a lot of ship defenses. Some ships have a lot more loot. And obviously it's not just this ship has this and this ship has that. It's like there's striations between on all of those columns, if you will. But yeah, so some ships will have more drones than not. And also, we're thinking about adding, I think someday maybe, we might add a core mode of difficulty, which is how the game used to be. We didn't used to have scrap. We added scrap because a lot of people complained, understandably so, that it was really difficult to get scrap. Because what you'd have to do is if you needed to upgrade anything, you needed to destroy an upgrade. And so we added scrap as something. But I would like to make a core mode back to no freebies and having to destroy a drone in order to purchase that extra upgrade or mod this thing or whatnot. It's pretty brutal, but it was kind of fun. Yeah, you can tell how many upgrade slots a ship has by visually inspecting, right? I mean, every room, it shows up on the schematic. There is a little white cross that shows a slot for a ship. And also, if you find a ship upgrade, that's almost always on top of or next to, it's been jostled loose from a ship slot. So as you're exploring, if you suddenly see like 3 of those things and your ship only has 2, then you now know that this is a good candidate to commandeer. So scrapping dead drones, if you have a drone that's dead and the problem is if I allow you to tow dead drones back, then you can use those husks to put upgrades in. If I then say you can't, destroyed drones don't have working upgrades, then that kind of means the only way you can ever get upgrades is when you find drones that are fine, which would kind of unbalance things a little bit. I am kind of being a stickler on that one, and everybody kind of wants it, so maybe I'll cede that point. I don't know, but for now I'm sticking to my guns. No, commandeering isn't really explained at all. The only thing, yeah, if you commandeer a ship with dead drones, then that makes sense. I don't know if that happens or not. I don't know if you get those drones, and you should also should be able to scrap those upgrades too, because commandeering a ship isn't always very easy, and it's also like a give and take. And I want to expand the commandeering to incorporate a little bit more about the actual ship that you grab, right. That would actually be kind of a nice thing if then you could do that with commandeering. Commandeering isn't explained. The only time commandeering is ever explained is we have a tip. When you try to leave a ship that would be really good to commandeer because it has more upgrade slots, and I need to recheck the logic because it wasn't working quite right, but it should say like this is a good ship to commandeer, are you sure you want to leave? At which point a lot of people are going to be like, what the hell is commandeering? It's just there's so much information, it's really hard to put everything in the tutorial because I'm trying to keep the tutorial down. And also there's like discovery, so there's obviously the manual, which isn't the greatest either. So there are a lot of things like turning off the icons with the quote key and stuff like that. There are a lot of things that are in the game that are shown in the game, but like you just don't pay attention to them because there's so much going on and you're learning so much. So yeah, it's tricky, but we haven't revisited any of the tutorial or any of the learning mechanic stuff since we launched early access because we've been so busy doing all the other stuff, but it's definitely stuff we should revisit. Right, so if you played for 4 hours and didn't get that message, I think that there's a bug. I think that maybe the conditions that are met, I haven't gotten that in a long time either. It might not even be working right now. Right, so if you could make it so that you could take upgrades out of a destroyed drone and you can't put the upgrades back into the destroyed drone, that might make everybody happy. But the problem with that is that then you're creating this weird system with an exception that's also very confusing for people, because they might be like, oh, when I took it out I didn't realize that I would have to keep it or whatever. I don't really know, because then they couldn't trade. That's another problem with that, is then you couldn't trade upgrades, which would be a bummer. Because I like to think that like if I bring down like 3 drones and they all are filled with stuff, but I'm like, I need this stuff, but if I find something better I can swap it out. So it gets kind of complicated. Okay, so let's really quickly, so we also have scrap and breaking upgrade damage. So scrap is basically what it sounds like. There's going to be more or less scrap. So if you want to play the game a little easier, then you can turn it over to easy. And if you want it to have a little less scrap, which personally I feel like now the game might have a little too much scrap. I also feel like the upgrades are breaking a little bit too slowly, because I see a lot of Let's Plays with people with like way too many upgrades. I think in an ideal situation you have like 6 upgrades or something. Not 6 upgrades. You have your drones filled out with like an upgrade or 2 each, and then you might have like a few left over. And so that's kind of like the line that the game is exciting. And so you can up the breaking damage if you want, or if you get really mad when your upgrades get taken away and you enjoy it, having more time with them and spend quality time with your upgrades, and you can switch that over to easy. So I debated this a long time ago, and right off the bat after early access, and I saw such a variety of players, and it's really hard to make a game work for everybody. I decided that I loved Civ 5, how it just gave me tons of options and I could tweak them to how I play the game, and then by messing with them I could make the game feel really different. Now most of these options are all hard or easy, and they're directly corresponding to how difficult the game is, but when you see things like vents and radiation and easy, like, and scrap, you could make it that, hey, there's tons of scrap but my upgrades break all the time. Or you could make it that my upgrades rarely break but there's like no scrap. So it's like we're starting to get to this point with all these discrete things that maybe you could start to tailor the game for you. Because I know some people like playing the game as a pure strategy game and don't like having to react quickly to things. And even not quickly. So, that's where you can turn off radiation and you can turn off the vents and be like, all right, those are a thing that I'm not dealing with now. My worry is always that you're going to play that way and then you're going to miss out on the game, and then you're going to eventually be like, this game's boring, and then you put it down when it's like, oh no, just turn those things back on and give them a try now that you're better. But, you got to let people do what they got to do, right? Yeah. We've also just, in these menus and stuff like that, we've just been working on making them a little bit better so that we can have sub-menus for the audio. There's now a master volume and stuff like that. But yeah, so let's go ahead. Let's go into a derelict, and let's see what some of these things look like. So this is a 420-year-old fatal with 4 infestation types. So I'm probably going to die. But the good news is because the hull is probably really poor, you guys will get to see this new surveyor in action. What's the difference between the difficulty for scrap and breakage? Is it percent based? Yeah, right now we didn't do anything super clever. All we did was we multiplied, I think, the amount of scrap by 0.05 or 1.5. And then the same thing with the braking. Things will break 50% slower or faster. Eventually, I would like to custom tailor maybe the ships so that, like, because when you just multiply or divide, sometimes it doesn't really work out well. So I might want to handcraft that a little bit better. If some colors of the drone view mess with your eyes, we might be able to do that. What I was trying to do was making the drone views, the different drone bodies all have one type of vision, and those visions to be slightly different. Right now they're kind of aesthetic, and so I could see that being obnoxious. I kind of wanted it to be like, oh, well, this drone type has this vision type. And so then I guess you could avoid those ones, and that would suck. So yeah, I didn't really think about the certain views annoying people. I guess that's an obvious thing that might happen. Oh, if you've only seen 2 infestation types, I might be ruining some things for you. So let's just board. Hold on, let's see what I got. So I have an old shield, a gather, a sonic, a generator, a tow with a new radiation shield, which I've never actually used in game. A mine and a lure. I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of this old school shield nobody cares about, and I'm gonna add on a scanner. I kind of want. I guess the lure is gonna be my main cheese right now. I guess I'm gonna add a scan on. So if the lure is gonna be my main thing, I might want to add some more to it. I have 4 scrap. That's really great. Where's my lure? So I'm gonna add 3 lures. Alright, so now we're all lured up. And it's on drone 4, which is really weird. And he's got, like, no health. So maybe that's dumb. Yeah, that's dumb. Alright, we're gonna switch things around. Tywin is my man. Tywin's gonna get that stuff. Tywin is gonna get the mine and the lair. Because it's not a good idea to have your, it's not a good idea to have things that are really important and that are kind of for exploration on drones that, let me see, mine, lair, shield, generator. That's pretty good. Let's just bring it out and teleport because we got 2 of them. See, this is my problem. I have too many upgrades right now, see, and it's not like forcing me to make decisions with things that I don't want to make decisions with. Alright, so we're gonna... Alright. Okay, so here you can see a very ugly UI, but it was the fastest thing that we could do. So you can clearly see here that if the room number is circled in red, then that means that that has a very high, their radiation is detected, and so that has the most likelihood for radiation flooding. And if it's circled by yellow, then that means it's slightly less, but it's still, the hull is still got problems, and then anything without are relatively safe. So you can see here immediately that I can start to plan things out. Now keep in mind that this is, and if you guys don't know the status command is really important. This has a hull integrity that's really poor. So this is probably the worst you're going to see a ship. Normally, you'd be kind of able to maneuver around the bad rooms, and not maneuver around them, but just make sure that you're not like hanging out in them. But this ship, I just don't really have a choice unless I hang out in R3, R9, R16, or R11. Or R12, that's a pretty sweet one right there. And it's scanned, and we know that there is a drone there, but we don't know if there's anything bad in there. So let's just go in. Alright, Joffrey. Let's see what we got. Joffrey and Eddard, I don't think those two are going to work out too well together. And it's going to be hard to make that a good team atmosphere. Alright. So I'm going to move you out of the way a little bit. I'm going to bring Eddard in here and see. Oh wait, I have a scan. Why would I even bother? Oh, look at that. Alright, so I don't have an interface, so that's a little useless to me. Oh, Joffrey. Alright. So this thing, I'm pretty sure, is dead. I can't tow it. Long range scanner. Can you guys hear that? There's a swarm. Somewhere. There's a swarm aboard the ship, which I guess I should have already known because this thing has everything in it. Alright, so now let's see what we're going to do. I want radiation to flood so that I can get my my shield. I've never used this radiation shield, and I have no idea if it even works. But the problem is, really, that so many of these rooms that I'm trying to account for are bad. So maybe R9 is where to hang out. So I'm going to drop a lure. I'm going to turn on my shield just in case. And I'm going to open R10, which is basically going to open every door to that room. Alright, there we go. That is what I call a brute, which is basically a really mean thing that jumps at you and tries to eat your face, even though you're a drone and you have no face. But he's going to be munching on that lure. Ooh, shit. Alright, what's up, slime? You're really hard to see in this view. I've got my shield, but I didn't... My shield only has 128 right now, which was really dumb. I should have beefed it up a little bit. Oh, God. Alright. What do I do right now? Alright. Alright, what I really want to do is I want to get to R12. I'm going to close D29. Oh, God. Oh, God. Okay. Okay, everybody's hanging out. Everybody's hanging out. Hold on. D12, D23, D24, D22. I should have just said close R9. What I really, really want, more than anything in the world right now, Mine. D25. Nice. Oh, you bastard. Okay. Okay, that should have given me an audio response. It also should have, like, knocked my drone off. That would be way cooler. These guys are oh, God. Oh, God. So, brutes are a little bit tough. A single mine won't necessarily take them out. They also, unlike swarms, don't just immediately run into the next room with you when they attack. They kind of hang out in their room. They're not as perceptive to the smell of drone, I suppose. And so now we've got to figure this out. Okay, this isn't so bad. Okay, we're gonna bring... Oh, this is dumb. There was a bad guy in there. Oh, God. Video signal lost. What's going on? There was a bad guy in there, I'm pretty sure. Is there a bad guy in here? Oh, God. Oh, God, there's a bad guy in there. Oh, God. Oh, God. Things are going bad. With no view, I'm gonna back one up. A1. You'd think. You'd be like, hey, this guy made the game. He's probably not so bad at it, right? Yeah. Okay, so I left this door open for forever. No, I didn't. I closed this door because there was a bad guy in here. And I forgot that this lure didn't drag him back up because he was still gnawing on this lure. So everything just kind of went to hell. However, I do have knowledge. I do know that there's one brute in here. There's 0 brutes in here. There's one wandering back and forth. Actually, no. Now he's probably not. There's probably nothing in here, and there's one in here, which is very difficult. I have a teleporter. All right. So let's start with that. Oh wait, I don't have a teleporter. I'm sorry, I'm looking at drone 4. I have a sonic, a scan, and a gatherer. This is bad. Yeah, that video signal wasn't my friend. Oh God. Alright, can we salvage this at all? We're gonna have to try. The problem is there's a bad guy, and he is exactly... There are 2 enemies in the only rooms with airlocks except for R3, and even if I go into R3, I don't know if that helps me. I've got the sonic, but I gotta enter in the room in order to use it. My only hope... I don't think this is gonna work, but we'll try it. My only work... The only thing that could happen is I wait for this guy to come in here, and then I trigger sonic. See, that makes him leave. What I really want is to get in this room, have him not... Oh, I have 100 hit points. This might work. Oh, God. Sonic, no, Sonic! Oh, I had a plan. I had a plan, okay? My plan was go into the room, take the hit, turn on Sonic, trap him in my ship, and then start to work backwards from there. That didn't work. I don't know if you guys noticed, but that didn't work. Some did. Well, I'm not completely dead. See, this is where it would be cool, like I said, to be able to reboard the ship, because, you know, now I'm in a lot of trouble. And I lost I didn't get to try out my radiation shield. Oh, sad. Yeah, this is doom. This spells doom. Let's board a 388-year-old hazardous ship with 4 infestations, with 1 drone. Wouldn't that be cool? That would probably work out, right? Ship. What do we got? You know what? I want to show off. I really want to show off the ship surveyor, and it's important, but the remote power is going to be more important right now. So rather than doing the right thing, which is show off the new parts of my game, I'm going to do the wrong thing and just try to win. So remote power, that's a thing. And then, do we have any scrap? Alright. Eddard, no, Eddard is at 0. Oh, I have Sandor, so I have 2. Alright, let's get rid of some things, shall we? Teleport, you're gone. Trap, I could use you. Pry, you're gone. Gather, I need you. Scan, the scan that is broken, or that is highly probability gonna break, you're gone. Let's see what we got now. We've got 2 drones. We need to gather. We don't need to power. Sonic, you weren't as helpful as I thought you would be last time. Interface, Gatling, stealth, scan, trap, shield. Alright. Trap, you're gone. Well, yeah, sorry, Trap. You're actually really awesome, but you're gone. Alright. Eddard. Sandor has more than you, so he's going to be our tank. And Eddard, you're just going to be happy to be alive. Alright. Oh, you know what? We can get rid of these. I'm going to get rid of this transporter. Oh, maybe that's not smart. Are we in a system that has lots of... No, I'm getting rid of it. Alright. That precious, precious scrap. Transporter gone. And what do I do? Alright. So now, Sandor, come over here. You're my new #1 drone. My #1. You get a Gatling. You get a shield. You get a stealth. And they're all gonna break. Gather, Sonic, scan, interface. Interface. Okay, we're getting rid of the scan. We're not really worried about, even though we should be worried about scrap, we're not worried about scrap right now. We're worried about getting drones. What are we gonna board? What are we boarding here? Salvage. That's good. We might be able to find a drone on a salvage ship. Alright, let's do this. Okay. Here we go. Shield on. Who has gather? Alright. Alright, okay, thank God I have remote power. I almost forgot about that. Remote, R3. Alright, 2, you get the hell out of here. 1, let's do this. Alright, fucker. You know what? I can't afford to have you here. Watch this. Let's see how this works. Gatling, shield. Oh God, why did Gatling not fire? Did it fire? Oh, the shield and the Gatling are mutually exclusive? I don't know what happened there. That might have been bug. Whatever. That's why we have shields, people. Alright. This is the swarm. This is... What's up, swarm? Oh, do I need fuel? I don't even know if I need fuel. I need scrap, I'll tell you that. Man, this place is just lousy with stuff. Patrol bots. We created patrol bots so that people didn't have to deal, so that people could... Okay, so This is a problem, this vent. Okay, you know what we're gonna do? D6, 1, D8. I'm gonna confirm that these guys are in here. Come on, guys. It's awesome. This is like the best room. Alright, there you go. D5, D8. Alright. Dock A4. Alright, we're gonna get scrap, and we're gonna get fuel, and hopefully we're not gonna die. Okay, things are good. Now we're gonna take a risk. Actually, we're not gonna take a risk. D6 shield. Are there any swarms in here? You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna just point the Gatling at that vent. Okay. See, that's when I need. Alright, A4. Dock. A3. You know what? Just because we're dicks, let's just flood that room with radiation just to kill that swarm because I'm angry that I've lost drones. This is one of those classic, like, there's no reason to do it, but... Oh, look at that. Jump cell. Bam. Alright. A3... or no. Oh, God. Oh, I did that. That was planned. I'm realizing right now that we're trying to make it so the collisions don't happen with the names. And I'm realizing right now if I was on drone 2 and I typed gather, it auto-completes the gather because drone 2 has a gather on it, right? If I go to drone 1 and I type in Gatling, and yes, we should change the name to turret, it'll auto-complete the Gatling. However, people were getting confused when in different situations, like different autocompletes were happening. And so technically, I can type in gather 2 to have drone 2 gather. So the bummer would be is that if you typed in GA there, even though this guy doesn't have both upgrades on him, it wouldn't autocomplete, which would be kind of a bummer. Anyway. Look at that, we didn't die. Oh yeah. We got a J fuel, we got 7 scrap, and a little less health. But if we got 7 scrap, we lost 30, and we dropped, I don't even know what he was at. He wasn't, oh, he was pretty high. Wait, this is Eddard. No, it was Sandor that I pumped all the way up. I think Eddard was only at like 5 or something like that. Right? Wait, how did he drop? Oh no. Yeah, anyway. So, that doesn't really show you, that doesn't even show you the new stuff for the game. But I didn't die. So, that was good. But, had I had that other ship upgrade on, right? Here, let's jump to another system. This is just a brutal system. It's just that's all there is to it. This is just, there's just nothing happy going on in the system. This is just a brutal system. Here, let me masker it. Let's just go here real quick. I'm gonna redo the ship upgrade through the ship surveyor. Even though I don't have a generator, so that might be impossible. You might be asking yourself right now, why does Tim only have 1 of these slots? And it's because I commandeered a vessel because it had some cool stuff, and then I didn't realize that it only had 1 slot. And so that's why I can't have both remote power and ship surveyor on right now, which would be super useful. But I didn't do that. So I want to show you guys the ship surveyor, but I don't know if I can because do I have enough scrap? Hold on. I gotta create a generator. I do have enough scrap to create a generator. Okay. And I can also beef up my boy here. Alright. Here, we'll show you guys one last ship. Hopefully this will be okay. You're now Mr. Generator. Oh, I had an interface. I didn't realize I had an interface. Oops. What do you not need? Oh, that shield comes in useful. Alright. Did I miss anything in the comments? Did things happen? Oh, don't die. There you go. See? Thanks, Joe. Not dying is just such a good plan. Okay, so here we go. So here's our new ship surveyor, and this isn't so bad. These are the only places that can flood with radiation. See? Everything's gonna be fine. Everything's always fine. So Alo Jill is actually the artist that was working with me on Duskers until she abandoned me. But not until I stole all of her really cool art ideas. So it's okay. Okay, so now I remember that we have an interface, and there's a ship's defense right here, which is super useful. Alright. Hey, looky. Uh-oh. I can't open up that door. I don't even have the power for it. I might as well get some fuel. And this interface isn't, this terminal isn't powered. So I guess I'm just gonna have to let that happen. Yep. I'm just gonna have to let that door... It sucks to have doors be compromised, obviously. What's up, guy? Come on. Don't you want to go down? Hang out with the other guy? Come on. My stealth isn't getting any younger here. Thank you. Okay, so this is going to be the Room of Badness. Oh, and I have an idea. Who's got the interface? I do. Wait. No, I don't. Oh, you know what? Rule of thumb, don't put your interface on a drone that has a generator. You get it? Not a good idea. Right. I'll trade you one interface for, Jesus. I guess my Gatling. Fine. At least arm the damn thing. I don't really know why. Alright, here we go. I've got a plan. So this is powered. And now, see, because we're in version 0.26, I can see that these rooms are safe. So I don't have to worry about radiation flooding right now. Alright, what we do is we ship scan. Good to know. We turn on the defenses. We open up D15. Because we don't have any sensors. And we just wait for mayhem to ensue. The problem is, because this door is open and I can't close it, these guys might wander into this room. Ha ha ha, there goes the swarm. But they might wander into this room, so it might take forever. So we might just have to sit here with that on, which is fine. That will remain on even though I've disconnected because I left. I shouldn't point. This will remain on because I've disconnected, but I left it on. So just remind me when I go to enter into that room that that is a bad idea. Okay, no more powered rooms. Aha. Okay, so everyone should be dead here. And I should be able to just... Look at the bodies. Don't go in there. Remember. And I think this will be empty. Here we go. Meh. But there's another generator. So... Oh wait, if I take the power off... then the gun won't shoot me. And these two are gonna pass in the night. Watch this, it's gonna be fun. What's up, Eddard? Hey, Sandor. Okay, later. Should have done this a while ago. Okay. Do we have a powered interface? We do. Or terminal. Navigate 1R11 interface. Bam. We're doing it. We're doing it. Open D27. Where's D27? Let's see. Ship scan. Ooh. That's nice. Alright, so here's the problem. No, it's not a problem. Alright. We want that drone. Unfortunately, that drone... you know what? That's not a towable drone. Which doesn't matter, because I forgot to bring down a tow upgrade anyway. Maybe it's going to have an awesome, awesome upgrade that we can swap with our kind of semi-broken upgrades. We got speed boost, generator. You're killing me. You're killing me, Marvin. I mean, not that those are definitely bad things, but at the moment, look at you. You're too fat. Alright. Okay, so the problem is, because this door is busted, it's not easy for me to open up these, well, there's definitely a swarm back there. Do we have... yeah, I have to load up my droids completely because I only have 2 of them, and then I don't really have a lot of space. Otherwise, I would totally be taking those upgrades. You know what we can do? We can probably trap me in R7, and then I can explore the rest of this ship. I kind of want to get into R5. I don't know why. I feel like it's a big room, and therefore it'll have things. But that's probably not true. Before I do anything, I should probably collect the damn scrap, since I'm so scrap poor. Where is the scrap? Eddard, you sitting on that scrap. Eddard. Okay, this is dumb. Yeah, sure, let's die. Protect me, Eddard. See, normally I would just go in because I'd be like, there's not a swarm in there, but there might be a damn brute, and then that would jump and eat my face. Okay, so remember how I said that room 5 would obviously have cool stuff in it because it was a big room? Yeah, turns out that wasn't the case at all. And now I get into this completionist phase where I'm like, I should probably leave, right? Probably a good idea. But I'm going to be like, I don't know about leaving. Navigate to R6. And then, because I don't remember exactly what that powered. Gotta be careful with all these all these defense turrets on too. Where we at? Really? Alright, here we go. D11. D27. Oh, let's just see who dies. Oh. Somebody. gonna die. Alright. Note to self, don't go in that room yet. Alright, this is dumb. Alright, first we close D26. Then we turn off the defenses. Then we turn on stealth. Oh, patrol bot. What's up, guy? And nothing really good in there. And just because I'm a dick. Goodbye. And now... let's recharge our stealth a little bit. Oh god. There's definitely a swarm. Can you hear them? I can. Oh, what's up, guys? Oh, God. Okay. Oh, God. These doors aren't powered. 55% of stealth. And I can't close any of these doors. Oh, God. What's up, guys? G27. Stealth. Okay. That is an unhappy room. And that is too, but they don't have any stuff in them, so I don't care. Okay, this is the last room I haven't explored. And because, like I said, sometimes you're a completionist. Okay. Yeah. See, normally I would debate commandeering this vessel simply so I could get those 2 upgrades because I'm so dire. But... and it only has 1 slot. I don't know, is this a dumb idea? This is a bad idea. I feel like those 2 upgrades are worth 6 scrap, which isn't the greatest thing in the world, and it's a lot of risk to take care of them. I don't know if I get this drone or not. I kind of feel like I don't right now. So, yeah, I think that it's already 3:16, so I'm beyond my hour, so why don't we just do it? Alright, this is dumb, but let's do it. Alright, so... or maybe it's not dumb. Alright, ready? Maybe I can just let the ship's defenses take care of all this for me. D27. I can't... I wish I could close this door. Because they're gonna be, like, doing this thing. And this is the only vent on the ship. Eventually it's gonna be really cool when I have to worry about where the other vent is, because these would definitely have traveled through there by now. So let's see. I guess I wait. Where else was there enemies? Are there enemies anywhere else in the game? I mean, in the game. In these rooms? I think that's the only place. I think I've killed every enemy except for these swarms. Why are they not dying? Have they gotten... they couldn't have gotten out. See, this is where it would be really fun if there was like another vent somewhere and it was like, shh, crap, did they get through the vent? But they're not dying. And I'm pretty sure I can't commandeer. Yeah. Oh, so we also fixed this. It used to be that you could type in commandeer and we would tell you, because we used to be debugging the game and it'd be like, oh, there's still infestations in the ship. And everybody would do that as an exploit to figure out if the last couple rooms were empty or not. But now we say type help, like, doesn't yet meet commandeering regulations, and then you say help commandeer, and we list out all rooms must be verified, vessels must be free of infestations, any radiation must be contained, no airlocks exposed to space. Is it me, or are those swarms intelligent and they are not going into that room? We're gonna have to blast them. Like, or maybe, hold on, maybe I can lure them with me. Maybe by opening up this room. Uh-oh. D15 no longer responding. Okay, I don't care. I'm going to open up D26, and they're going to sense me, because they are very aggressive, and they're going to come to get me, and they're going to go right through this room, and they're going to die a horrible death. Right? Or are they just, like, partying in here? They're just totally partying in R4. And they're learning. Open the airlock. Oh, I guess we could do that. Ooh. I don't know about that. The only airlock we could really open would be this one. We could open up this, flood. Close this down. Radiation would seep into here probably. Stealth through and see. What are they doing? So I can't. If I stealth through. Oh, you're right. Normally I would die, but right now, because in theory we fixed this, the defenses won't see me. Dude, screw you guys. Oh. Dude, everyone is up in here. What? Oh my god, why can... Alright. It's like they refuse to go in because the defenses are on or something like that. They're just being jerks. Maybe... Alright, D26. D11. Alright, this is dumb because this would let them escape out into the rest of the ship, but what if I go over here and I power this? Will this power these areas and then I just suck them out? Let's do that. Or I could just go in there with a Gatling, but I don't think that's going to take care of like 50 enemies. Alright. This is probably a bad idea. Hold on. Did we get him? I don't know, they could have wandered out into there. Oh, God. No! They moved. They moved. They knew it. Smart little bastards. They knew my defense was on. They're not smart at all. I have no idea what's going on right now. This game is messing with me. I'm going to close A4 because I don't know why. Oh, my God. And if they're in here, they could be up here now, and they can be down there. Sorry, guys. I mean, I could try to just kill them, but it makes no sense. I think it makes sense to run away and live another day. Oh my god. Those bastards. They really suck. I needed that. I needed that. I could have used those upgrades. Could have used the upgrades, but I'm going to take the J fuel, and I'm going to take the 3 scrap. And I lost my stealth. Oh, good. Why didn't I shut D7 first? D27 first. I don't know. Was there a reason to shut D27 first? Oh, it wasn't powered, I think. I think because when I switched the power from one side to the other, like I no longer controlled some of those doors, so I had to just... Oh! Why didn't I shut... There was another door I couldn't shut because it was broken that would let them out. There was nothing I could do about that because the door was broken. I think it was D15 or something like that. Yeah. Okay, so we lived to see another day. So that was kind of fun. Aside from the fact that I didn't get to use my radiation shield. Oh, that's what I should... Did I still have my radiation shield? I don't think I did. I really wanted to use my radiation shield. I did get to use the stealth, and I did get to use the ship surveyor to see what... But we never had a radiation flood, I think, in the whole playthrough, even though we were boarding all these like ships with poor hulls. Oh well, what can we do? So anyway, so I talked a lot about the new features in version 0.26, and I think I showed off like 1 or 2, maybe. So that's something. the door to the defense room from the enemies. Oh, yeah, that probably would have made a lot of sense. I kept thinking that I wanted that room open because I was luring the whole time I was trying to lure them into that room, but then as soon as I left, I didn't want them to go into that room, and I probably did still have power over that, right? So I could have just closed that and then sucked them all out. That would have done it, which is really funny because I'm always watching Let's Plays. I'm like, why didn't you just do this? And I know that when you're playing and you're trying to talk and do everything at the same time, you don't always see everything. But that was a pretty obvious one, wasn't it? That was pretty much shut that door, suck them out to space, take the ship. Oh well, what are you gonna do? So real quick, let me see if you guys didn't have any other questions, or if you guys have any other quick questions that I can answer before I take off. Mainstreamy? Why don't you use mainstream mine? I don't know what that is. I'll click on the link. Trading Pros, broken model for 3 scrap instead of 1 scrap to scrap it. Yeah, so that was an exploit that we decided to leave in because we thought that was fair because you bothered to travel all the way to the auto trader. And it's kind of fun to take advantage of a stupid drone that's operating like it's automatically, and it's just like, yes, I will take your upgrade, and it doesn't realize that you shortchanged them. Kind of the reverse of when I got the batteries not included moment. It's kind of like, well, he screwed me by not equipping the damn sensor with sensors, but I got him back because I sold him a stupid, crappy upgrade. You know, which would mean you would hoard those and then bring them to an auto trader, I suppose. I don't really think about it too much. But yeah. Yes, you can rename drones, and that's why the drones names. We do not have the drones come stock with Eddard and Sandor, Clegane. But you have to do like he was saying. You have to go to the future branch right now. So what we're doing, just so that you know, is that we release new updates that are unstable to the future branch, which is something that you can choose under betas, under right-click Properties, Betas tab, select Future Branch. But that way we can kind of run through and test them, and people that want to help us test can test, and also that want to play around with the new stuff first can do that. So it's kind of like hopefully it's a win-win. And then after we stack a couple of those future branches and we're pretty sure it's stable, then we push that out into the default branch, and I make an update video, and in theory maybe we'll make a bigger deal out of those so that we can get more people in playing the game and stuff like that. But yeah. The if command. So the only problem that I have with conditionals is that as soon as we start putting conditionals in the game, it opens up like a big can of worm for exploits, even though that would be really fun. Like, it'd be really fun to just run a script and just have a drone go into a room and then have it, you know, shut all the doors to the room, or, you know, do really cool mousetrap kind of stuff where you're like, or if we could have a conditional, like if the sensor goes off in a room, then shut all the doors to that room. Like things like that would be really cool. So there were these cool fail safes that you would put in. But as soon as we expose that out, like I think that like right now there are a bunch of exploits that we know about, like doors instantly open and close, and the teleporter instantly moves, so you can do like, you know, chain a bunch of commands, teleport R2, scan, teleport R1, and it'll go in, scan, and come back out without the chance for an enemy to attack it, I think. So, you know, we're going to kind of fix that up by making a slight delay for the recharge of the teleporter and stuff like that. But that's the only problem I have with conditionals, is that worry. We could eventually put that in there. I do think it would be really fun for people to do, but we're going to start with, at first, just adding in, making aliases more robust by adding in parameters, so that you can say, like, in the alias, let's say you have navigate R and then variable name scan that, and let's say you alias that to go. So you could type in go space 1, so it would go to R1 and scan it. Go space 2, you know, so that like, you know, variables. So we're going to start with that and see how that works, and also try to make it so that the aliases are more like a name replacement thing, because I think right now you can't even do like alias go equals navigate and then type go R1. I don't think that works right now. Anyway, so we're going to start baby steps. I think everything that we do like little things and then see how they're working and how people like them, and then we can kind of go from there. The radiation shield, basically it's a mod on your shield, so if you get a shield upgrade, you can put some extra scrap into it under the modifications menu right here. I don't have a shield. Oh, I do. So see this shield right here? So I have 4 scrap, so I can't afford it. Oh, okay. So I have 4 scrap, so I can't afford it. But if I could afford it, then what I would do is that I would pay my 5 scrap. Actually, so here, let me just do this. Get rid of that. Now I have enough. Whoops. Shield. Oh, radiation proof shield is 6. Okay, fine. All right, let me just to show this off. I am going to get rid of this Sonic. All right. So now I take my shield that has a 21% probability of breaking, and then I invest a bunch of money into it. Radiation proof shield. Hit that, execute, and now you see how there's this little star X at the end of it, which you can probably see a little bit better on the drone config. So it has this little X on it, so that means that now the shield will not be affected by radiation. Now, normally you can go into a radiated room with a shield on and that will protect you, but the problem is that once rooms become fully radiated, they start dealing a lot of damage. So now you can still explore rooms that have been radiated as long as you have this shield on. But yeah, but then keep in mind, if something causes your shield to drop, and there are a couple things that do, I can't remember what they are off the top of my head, but hopefully Gather isn't one. If Gather is one, then we will make that work, because I feel like you should be able to use this to go in and gather resources or tow things out from radiated rooms. You're still going to have to worry when you open up that door to go in and out fairly quickly so the radiation doesn't spread. But yeah. Yep, so that, any word for the fix for non-US keyboards to use a semicolon in commands, so we fixed that. So now what you can do is when the launcher comes up, there's a way to remap buttons, and we've added semicolon and one other, I can't remember, to that list, so you can remap that to any key on your keyboard. That didn't make it into the version 24, and we had just done it right after the cutoff, so now that's in there. So for Norway 174, we are kinder and gentler to non-standard keyboards. Could you write a command that will make room to room and scan? So what you could eventually do is add a command that will allow them. There isn't. That's why the probe exists right now. So if you want that functionality, you do a probe. But what you can do is you can string together a bunch of commands, and then when we have the aliases take arguments, then you could have a command that arbitrarily goes to a room and scans it, and then you could type in, you know, let's say go R1 semicolon go R2 semicolon go R3, and then it will go through all of them. But that's about it. Right, an upgrade that makes your drone not get sucked out, but you can open the airlock, yes. So if you'll notice right now, sensors and lures, when you open up an airlock, don't go anywhere, and that's a bug. But what we're going to do is we're going to add a mod to a lot of the upgrade types that are like magnetic, so that they won't get sucked out. But we'd like to do that for the drone treads as well. So that would either be a drone upgrade, as in a kind of like what you can do with health and speed right now, where you can kind of like modify the drones. Sorry, drone modification. Or I'm debating right now adding in permanent upgrades on drones that they come with that you can't find. They're not upgrades. They're kind of just welded into the frame of the machine, and that would start to make different drones feel even more different. And one of those could be, hey, I just found a drone and towed it back, and it's got like magnetic treads. So now I can do that. It might be a Geiger counter that, like, when you're in drone view, you can hear the crackling when you're in a room that has higher radiation levels than normal. Or, you know, some various other things like that. Because I love the idea of being able to swap out upgrades and being highly adaptable, because that's the whole point of the game. But I will admit that, like, drones are just these husks right now. And even though you can give them a name, and they have a different view, and they have a different body type, and we do vary up the HP and speed a little bit, I just kind of want to push that a little bit further. So that would be something where it would be these unique sort of buffs that would be for a particular drone. And that would be kind of cool, because you'd be like, oh crap, here's this drone that's really weak. It's only got 70 HP, but it's the one with the magnetic treads, or it's the one with this really cool Geiger counter or whatever. And so now it makes sense for me to invest in that drone's HP because it's got this special ability. And maybe I make it that those special abilities are unbreakable or something like that. Like those don't start to short circuit. Another cool idea that I heard was the ability to take certain things that break and scrap them. Like someone was saying, it would be really cool if their generator drone that they use for generator a lot, if they could just scrap its camera feed, because they just don't feel like they need it most of the time, and get that scrap out of it, which would be really cool if you're in a desperate situation and you do that. I don't really know. It adds a little bit of complication to the UI, so I don't know if it's worth it, but that's a thought that I had. Can you make the probe since some enemies in a room with and upgrade? I don't know what that means. Making them percent and drain quickly, otherwise they will be broken and OP. No, I don't know. I mean, if you think about it, if you had magnetic treads and you could vent a room, no matter what, that room's probably going to be empty and not have any scrap in it, and you're just using that as an ability to suck out some stuff, because this is the counterbalance to airlocks, is that they create instability in the rooms and then radiation starts to flood. So I don't really think that you would overuse it. The only bummer, honestly, about the magnetic treads is there aren't a lot of situations where they come in super useful, and then also it kind of exposes some of the underside of the game, where like we don't really right now have nice animations of things getting sucked out of airlocks. So you don't see that, because if it's your drone and you get sucked out of the airlock, everything goes black, but you'd see that a lot more. So then all of a sudden we'd have to start worrying about like all the animations and stuff like that. So, I mean, we want to do that anyway, but again, that's just something that we would have to address quicker than we kind of want to, maybe. But yeah. But cool. All right. It looks like that's the questions you guys have. Thanks so much for joining me today. It's really fun to be able to come here. I think I'm going to try and do this as a regular thing on Fridays now, because I usually work at home on Fridays. And that way I'm not bothering everyone in the Double Fine offices. But yeah, so maybe I can make this a regular thing. And I definitely used to do videos weekly, and I know that I'm not now. And I used to do streams weekly, and I know that I'm not. So at least maybe this stream could be something where I could post the videos on YouTube. Because we're just so busy. Like early access just feels like this like really extended launch, and like forums and all this stuff. It's exciting and it's fun, but it's just really, I don't have as much time as I used to be able to make videos and content and stuff like that. Can you make an upgrade for the probes to sense enemy and room it scans? Usually that detection is when it gets shot at, so I mean, that's not really a good detection mechanism, I suppose. Allow them to have a motion sensor? That would be pretty crazy. Good idea. Add daily Duskers run on the future. Yeah, I would love to, and leaderboards. I would love to do those things, like a daily challenge. That's something that would probably come later. The leaderboards, also, as soon as we put them in, there'll be 1 million exploits and a bunch of people on the top of it that don't deserve to be there and stuff like that. So we have to lock that down. So that's kind of a pain. So we would definitely want to add the leaderboards, but And if you guys don't mind that stuff at first, then I guess we could always add that in and then start locking them down. But then every time we update the version, I guess we'd have to clear the leaderboards because it might be based on old stuff. And maybe that's cool because people are like, well, you know what? Like first, like when you comment on a video, I don't know, maybe that'd be fun. I'm sure people would complain. But go check out version 0.26, and if you guys see any problems with it, please post in the support section of the forums or on the subreddit. And if you think things, just from a design standpoint, are cool or things are aggravating or whatever, then please let us know, again, on the subreddit or the forums. If you have like a major crash or something, you can always email us. But yeah, but thank you guys for coming out and watching this game evolve, and hopefully you see something on that giant list of fixes that you're like, oh look, I said that was a problem on the forums and now it's fixed, or no, that's better. So hopefully we're getting there. But cool. See you guys.